Hi everyone, I'm here to critique your pattern assignment and talk about it a little bit. This is for the group lines and we're gonna start with Corey. So here we have the grids one, I think. This one's actually really sweet. I mean, I like the little gumdrops shapes that you've created. I noticed that you use the white pencil across all of your designs, and that's something I'll talk about after I go through all of them. But I think for this one, the white pencil works just because it's like mimicking the shape that you've already created, and it definitely adds something to it. I think if it didn't have the white dot to sort of break uh this big black shape, then this little like spheres would turn into more of a kind of thing. So I think the use of white pencil here actually works. This one for the half drop, I really like this. Like I really like how simple, sorry about the sirens outside if you can hear them. I really like how simple this is. I like how not perfect this circular shape is. I shouldn't say circular, like organic shape is. I guess it reminds me of sort of like a cow print, or not even, to be honest, like something different than that, because it's not exactly a cow print, but I like this one. I can definitely like see it printed on like fabric or textiles, like I was talking about for other groups. And I like the scale of it. See, for this one, I think it's like one of the examples that I was gonna talk about, that I think the white pencil doesn't really do much. I think I see what you're trying to do, but I think it would have been more beneficial to actually just cut the paper, because I can so clearly see that it's like white pencil, that if you wanted sort of like that breaking down the shapes effect, I think just cutting these out shouldn't have taken too long, and it would have been a better outcome. Because right now I can't help but see it other than just like a drawing on top of the cutout, and that's like distracting me from what I think you're trying to do. So I think that would be my feedback for this one. I think just actually cutting out these rectangle shapes would have been useful to sort of have a little oomph to this pattern. I think that would have been really nice. I think right now it's looking a little bit too simple, but again, I think it's a matter of cutting these in order to introduce like a sort of like a new element. This one is really nice. I like how perfect these circles are. I'm guessing you did that with a hole puncher or something, because they're so perfectly cut out. Um, but I really like it. I kind of see it in like a navy color, or even yellow, perhaps. Like it's a really fun pattern. Um, yeah, I like the movement of it. This one, I think the pencil actually works here because um again, you're like actually mimicking the shapes of the pattern that you've created, and because it's such a delicate thing, what you're drawing here is just like a straight line, it works better, and it's not like a doodle. So yeah, I think this one works. I mean, of course, this can be like a clothing print or like on a textile. We've seen this in clothing for sure. Um, I think this one works as simple as it is. I like the variance of the strokes. Like this one's thick, this one's thin, and then inside the thick ones, you made some line variations with the pencil. So I think that was really smart. I would be careful about having like these pencil lines, like just erase this. It shouldn't take too long just to have like a better effect at the end. And this one, I don't think the pencil actually does much for you here again. Like I can't help it but see it as like just a drawing on top of the paper, and I think you should use the white pencil to your advantage. Like for example, like here, you're actually mimicking your pattern, but when you do this, you're just like doodling on top of the pattern, so it doesn't really do that much. Again, this would be different if you actually cut this out, but I just think I'm just getting a little too distracted with the doodles on top. So I prefer it this way personally. um but yeah, I think overall really nice. Like I enjoy your simple patterns. And yeah, just for the future, just be careful about these little pencil marks, but that's just like minor details. Thank you, Corey. We're gonna talk about Noreen's. Gonna quickly go through them. I really appreciate how you're not afraid of going outside of the square, the 5x5 square. I think that's something that everyone should learn about, and it just at the end of it just really serves your final design. And yeah, I encourage you to do it even more. Although I think here this end is like a little awkward in comparison to this end, but that's just like minor details. Like you see this little space over here that's not here. Again, I really enjoy how it goes out of the frame. It makes me like wonder how else it could expand. And also like I wish it would have included like a matted version and the unmatted one as well. Like I'm trying to see the to see it without the border to see how it would actually look on a square, on a perfect square. But this one is super fun. I can like I kind of want to see this in color, and I envision this sort of like as an animation. Like I can see like the little pieces coming up and like in a really cute way. I love this shape that you've created. So fun. And I actually love how it rests on top of the frame perfectly. It adds almost like a three-dimensionality to it. Whoa, this one, you went crazy with the with the paper cuts. I mean, really nice job. Obviously tedious. It looks like it took you a long time. I like how these triangles are not perfectly placed. Like this one. This one's a little too perfectly placed, but this one, the little tilting moment adds a lot of movement to it. Like I can see this sort of like spinning around. So this was a great example for radio. These look like beans. They're so sweet. I like the little contrast between the organic shapes and the squares that you've included here. I'm not sure going out of the frame for this one was that beneficial because there's barely any shapes that are going out, but I still appreciate how you went out of it and just sort of like imagined how it would keep expanding outside of the frame. This one, I wish the documentation was better because now I can't really see the square. And I actually think not seeing the outside of this and just seeing it with the borders would actually be more helpful. Because right now the two shapes are distracting me. But I love the contrast between like these really blocky shapes and the really thin ones. I think, and I love how like this is squared. That's really, really nice. That's why like I wish this was actually like I could see a border and not see beyond it because it's kind of distracting right now. I wish it would have included like both versions, or maybe you didn't. But yeah, this one's nice. Just better documentation for next time, and I would include both versions next time. This one, nice use of positive and negative. You stuck to the borders for this one. Yeah, this one's nice. Is this the typographic one? Yeah, it kind of looks like an E. I like how ambiguous it is. Like it's not obviously an E. Could be also like a little random doodle. But great use of the positive and negative space. Really smart. Thank you, Noreen. Great job. So now we're gonna talk about Elizabeth. Oh, I like this little star shape so much. Yeah, I would just say, just be careful about these awkward borders here, like this little white space over here. It's such a minor thing, but I think it really does make a difference. Honestly, sometimes your cutouts can't be perfect. So if this happens, I would just honestly encourage you to just go in with a Sharpie and just fill that gap in so it's not as distracting. Because personally, I keep getting, like I keep looking there, but these shapes are awesome. I like the contrast between the stars and this little weird shape that almost looks like an S or a J. Oh, I love this one. I love this one. I really like this shape, as simple as it is. I think contrasted with this is really nice. And I could see this in color. I can see it in like blue or yellow. And I can see this in a textile for sure, like printed on a shirt or a bathing suit. That would be fun. This one, I think you could have been a little bit more creative with it. I mean, the spacing here is just a little awkward. Like, I'm not sure why it's touching it here, but then it's not over here. I don't know. I feel like you could have put a little more work for this one. But I mean, good job on getting the radial shape for sure. Just think maybe adding more elements or maybe cutting out some of the triangles to make new shapes could have been a fun idea to spice it up a little bit. This one and this one and the little type. This one almost reminds me of soup, like letter forms floating on a soup. I like this one. This one could also be like a radial one. Just be careful next time you're documenting. I'm not sure what this blue thing is. I'm sure it's like glue marks or something. Minor details. And these two are fun. I wish they were a little bit more less static, if that makes sense. I mean, this one is not so much, but this one just feels a little bit stiff. Like maybe tilting these shapes a little bit would have been more fun, just because to make it a little bit less predictable, I guess. This one is fun. Like, I like how, again, like unpredictable the triangles are shaped. Again, it's just I don't know, I guess there's something bothering me about this one, but I think maybe it would be nice to see it tiled with like the same repetition over and over again, but when you repeat it, you could like rotate it so it's not the same all over again. That would break the it being so predictable. But I like this one. This one's sweet. So yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. Now let's talk about Talia's. She has a lot of stuff going on. I'm just gonna go through it and make comments. I was looking at your stuff, and I think you were just basically doing on paper like the basic shape, and then on computer you went ahead and like tiled it together, which is nice to see. For this one, like, because this one already works on its own as a pattern, like the tile, and see it tiled repeatedly makes even more sense. Like, you can get a broader picture of like how it would look repeated as a pattern. But I just feel like for this one, for example, this becomes a little bit less of a pattern on its own. Like, of course it becomes a pattern once you make it a motif and you repeat it, but I think Susie was trying to see you already doing a pattern within here, which I guess this one could kind of work because you repeated the same shape 3 times, but this alone wouldn't work as a half drop. You know, this is a half drop, but the motif itself is just a motif, you know? So I think I would encourage you next time to actually just make a pattern on paper before going to the computer and doing this, because this way it's just easier. You can just, you know, make a circle and repeat it on the computer, and then you could call it a day. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. But I mean, this is beautiful, you know, repeat it this way. I just wish this could work on its own as well as a half drop. You have the radial one, nice, and you included your inspiration. Very nice. Oh, I like this effect. Not sure what happened here, but I like the effect. Is it like, did you do this physically or in computer? It looks almost like a computer like layering, but that looks very nice. I like the disruption of it and how it's not perfect. More visual illusions. Nice. I think this one is so trippy. I really like this one. I think this one works on its own, so I won't say anything about doing it on the computer. But wow, I love that little visual thing that's happening there. Something that you loved. Thank you so much for including your inspiration photos. That's very helpful. This one almost looks like a spider. Whoa, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. See, I think like Susie would have encouraged you to actually do this in one tile. So you actually did this physically instead of going to the computer and just repeating it over and over again, because obviously it's gonna look perfect. But I mean, this is beautiful. I just wish instead of just the motif, you already made the pattern within here, if that makes sense. But again, this one looks awesome like this. Letter forms. That's a fat E and a G. This G is so nice. Again, repeated. Oh, I guess this one's repeated in different ways. Nice inclusion. But see, this is nice to see this way because this one, the motif already works as a pattern because it's repeated. But for this one, this wouldn't work as a pattern on its own. So that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do. And one last one. Oh, you need another E and G. Beautiful. I like how this one ends up creating like 4 circles. That's a nice one. Thank you so much for including so much process and so many images post-production. Thank you, Talia. And thank you, Lines, for great work.